I'm Julian Huerta. I am the Deputy Executive Director at Foundation Communities. I've actually been there for 22 years, something like that.
Awesome.
And my job is to oversee all of our programming. So, we primarily work in the areas of housing, health, education, and financial stability. And I oversee programming across those areas.
Awesome. Thank you. And will you remind me what Foundation Communities' mission is?
Yeah, well, our mission officially is to create housing where families succeed. Given the huge need for affordable housing in Austin, the increase not only in the prevalence of, but certainly in the visibility of homelessness, like our work seems especially relevant and important these days in Austin. And so we develop affordable housing, both for lower income families with kids, but also single adults coming out of homelessness. And we very much believe in the model of housing plus supportive services. So all of our properties have a whole range of education, mental health, other kinds of health programming, available on site for residents. And then we have a whole slew of financial stability programs that are available for people throughout Central Texas, including free income tax preparation, health insurance enrollment, financial coaching, money management classes, and the College Hub for adults who are looking for education or training.
Man, that's a lot of really great comprehensive services. I've always admired your organization. When I first moved to Austin, I was off West St. Elmo, and so I was right next to one of your communities. And I had started at United Way, but I was still getting used to the nonprofit landscape in Austin. I already knew what you guys, the name of y'all and what you did, because y'all were my neighbors. So that's really great. So I'd love to talk about how this new PACES program that you guys are going to be managing and that we're going to be working on with you guys fits into that. Could you explain a little bit about what that project is and why it's important?
Yeah, so it's kind of a unique thing for us, and it is something new in terms of a funding opportunity as well. So PACES is a project that's funded through a federal grant. And essentially, the objective is to increase awareness and utilization of the Earned Income Tax Credit among people in Austin who maybe haven't been taking advantage of it as much as they could or they should.
Right.
And so first off, the Earned Income Tax Credit, EITC, is kind of the largest federal anti-poverty program there is.
Okay.
It's a program, that through people's tax returns, gets them money every year that for many families is the biggest single check or infusion of money that they get during the year. So It's a great opportunity for people to pay off debt or establish savings, or if they're going to acquire some kind of asset, to be able to do that. But we also know that as many as 20% of people who are eligible for it actually don't claim it. So they're missing out on a huge potential benefit there. And so part of the project is to just make sure that people know about it, especially in those areas of Austin where we know utilization hasn't been as high as it could be. So, but that's also sort of connected with sort of this other goal of the project, which is to investigate the extent to which families receiving Earned Income Tax Credit can increase their resilience and towards adverse childhood experiences. So these are things like child maltreatment, housing instability, things that happen in a child's life that can really have impacts on them, not only while they're children, but really going forward. Mental health impacts on their trajectory in terms of education and employment, things like that. So the project, in addition to working to increase awareness and utilization of our income tax credit, also has a research component where we'll be identifying families who are in kind of the target group, establishing a baseline, understanding kind of what their current situations are, both in terms of EITC utilization and in their vulnerability for adverse childhood experiences, and then measuring over the 3-year grant, have we been able to have an impact on building their protective factors against ACEs. So, we're really pleased to also be working, in addition to United Way, with a group at the University of Texas called the Child and Family Research Partnership. Is going to be the research piece of it.
Yeah, that's great that, not only are you working on the outreach side, but you're also, kind of measuring what the difference makes. Do you think you could describe a little bit the relationship between the ETIC and poverty alleviation and what outcomes you're hoping to see?
Yeah, well, so as I mentioned, EITC is the largest sort of federal anti-poverty program there is. And so, and we know that, from families that we serve that, when they're able to get EITC along with, whatever other credits or tax refund they have coming, it's a huge opportunity to improve their financial situation at that point. As I said, people paying off debt, being able to establish savings, if somebody's gonna, have an opportunity to, especially at this time, to catch up on housing expenses. One thing that we know is looming out there is, a large number of families who are falling significantly behind in rent, right? The eviction moratorium remains in place, but at some point, these families are going to have to try to get caught up on that back rent, and few of the families that we serve, have a big, an extra few $1,000s or whatever to be able to catch up on an expense like that. So the receiving earned income tax credit can have a huge impact for them in their financial stability, in catching up with prior expenses and being able to build resiliency for the, for the inevitable sort of financial challenges that families face. Pandemic aside,
right.
And even before that, many families in Austin were struggling to be able to afford to continue to live here, right? And so we know that the EITC can play a huge impact in helping people just be in a better financial position.
I appreciate all this information you've shared with me. Is there anything else you want to add, either about Foundation Communities or this project? Just any final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess the other thing that strikes me about it is just it's, we've thought about, certainly for a long time, how do we increase utilization of earned income tax credit, because we know it's a very powerful tool. And then separately, we have thought about adverse childhood experiences and the role that we as an organization could play in helping to protect kids from those sorts of experiences. But we've never thought about those two things, EITC and PACES together. We're really excited to be a part of a project that not only is about getting people access to this very important resource, which is earned income tax credit, but also being a part of this learning experiment.